Hey there, how's it going? Here's another episode. This one is going to be related to something that Mark Manson mentions in his blog. It's been some time already that he published that, but I think it's very profound. It resonates a lot with me. Basically, what he mentions is, and I quote, you don't build psychological resilience by feeling good all the time. You build psychological resilience by getting better at feeling bad, and that's the one, right? Like getting better at feeling bad, and it resonates so much with me, at least for the last couple of years, because you know when you're middle aged, right? Even after, I think you have an ideal world in the, at least in the Western world, or most of the world right now, and depending on of course, your context and how you were raised and how lucky you were. I consider myself super lucky, actually. But for the people that get to go to college, and even if of course yeah, you do a lot of effort and you study hard and all that stuff, but we don't get to be raised in a in a population that they don't have schools and all that stuff. That's another type of well, basically we're not poor, right? And that's a completely different type of yeah, childhood. But for the most people, they have access to education, and the main necessities are covered, like food and housing and all that stuff. Like, we have an ideal type of childhood, and of course I don't want to minimize problems that teenagers have. I don't, because for them those are really big problems, right? I used to have my problems, but then after college is when the things get real, right? Like, you need to work for yourself, you need to find a job, you need to really eventually kind of support your family, and this is all like things are getting serious, right? So you start feeling those ups and downs, and up until like you're in college, everything it's kind of a little bit more ideal for you, and then you think of your ideal job, and then when you find, maybe you find that job, maybe you don't, but you realize that that job that you were idealizing, right, is not as good as you thought, and then you might change, and then your identity kind of goes away with what you thought you were want to do, and life in itself is messy like that. So by default, we have those ups and downs. And this quote, it's about the specific part when you're down, right? It's getting better at feeling bad. And we tend, or the society tends to kind of minimize the lows by taking external substances, right? It might be painkillers and all that stuff. And sometimes, of course, I don't want to. This is not a prescription for anything, because every single person have a different context, and you might actually need help with external substances, and you need to ask to professionals so they can diagnose better the situation. But the pain that we go through when we encounter life, and when we encounter like the reality, um, it can be transformational, it can be good if we allow it to be, right? So we should avoid to kind of manage. There's a bad way to cope with the lows, right? For instance, it's not recommended to, to drink. It's not recommended to do that. All this stuff that we know that it's not supposed to help, like having like external help, because your tolerance grows. That means that you're getting addicted to something that actually you may need afterwards, like painkillers, or other type of drugs like antibiotics. Um, so sometimes going through the pain, unless it's not gonna kill you, of course, it can be transformational. And managing this pain, and knowing that there's a door or an exit after this, where the same version of you, well, a different version of you, sorry, a different version of you, an improved one, is going to come out of the in the other side. That's what you're striving for when we go through those. Because no matter what, we're gonna go through those ups and downs, right? So, having said that, like ideally, we'll take the energy and all this pain to transform ourselves into something better. And the more we live, the more life tests us, right? We're gonna have um, uh, lower lows and hopefully higher highs as well, right? Because normally we're gonna have the contrast of each point, and sometimes the lows are coming one after the other, and then we need to cope with them, and yeah, like getting better at feeling bad, it's critical, I think, and we need to be thoughtful of that stuff, and yeah, like I remember, for instance, it is a maybe a stupid example, but I'm gonna share it. Like so last summer, I did a stupid thing. I I thought that, you know, I felt funny, and I did the stupid stuff that I thought maybe I 20 years ago I would have pulled it off, but let's say that last summer I didn't. So I really injured my back, making a stupid. It was a stupid decision, basically, right? So my friends, basically, because of course your friends don't want to see you suffer, so they invited me and they incentivized me to take pills, painkillers, right? So I was not in pain. But then my thought process was, okay, this pain, it's really uncomfortable, it's really painful, really, but I don't want to mild this feeling, or smooth this feeling, right? Although I could, for two reasons. The first one, I don't want to be dependent on painkillers or things that again like can increase in my toleration to that. So it can actually eventually I could even become addicted, or kind of it's an easy way to pain my to ease my pain, right? And the second one, and I think it's more important as well, is that going through the pain, it's going to be less likely that I'm going to forget in the near future about my stupid decision. So, of course, it differs if it was because of you or because something else, right? But anyway, you are in a situation that you are in pain. And, if you go through the pain, like the real pain thing, and if it's not going to kill you, and you go through that, like for sure you're gonna remember that, and very likely you're gonna avoid to go through this again in the future. If I take painkillers, the consequences of the decisions that I made are not really there. So that's why I decided not to take the painkillers, and it was really painful. But again, for sure, I'm not, well, at least from the time that I will remember, I'm not going to do stupid things like this. I'll do other types of stupid things, right? But again, that's to exemplify kind of the thought process going through that. And I don't say that, that was a good decision, but, you know where to take this pain. So at least you remember, so you don't take a bad decision in the future. And that's what it's all about, right? Like managing the low or the pain, if it's physical or if it's psychological. That's something to use on our end to transform ourselves into a better version of ourselves after going through this stage. And yeah, that was the concept of this episode. Again, like I'm always recommending the Mark Manson's material. I think it's super helpful. I mixed it up with my, my view and my experience, and I thought it was really interesting for anyone that knows about that stuff on how to apply it. And again, like everyone has a different context, everyone has different problems and highs and lows. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there so you can think about it, and hopefully it will resonate with you, and it will make you better at getting better at feeling bad, basically. Because at getting better at feeling good, I think we're pretty good at that, right? It just comes easy when something good comes. Yeah, like there's not much to work there. Maybe you want to cover first the downside, right? And then the upside will take care of itself. So hopefully that was interesting for you, and that will help you now or in the future. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for listening. Take care. Bye.